and welcome to another Get Good at Business highlight. I am your host and business coach, Taylor Proctor, here to help you get good at business so you can get back into the heart of why you got into business in the first place. And the way that we do that is through utilizing the I Move method. And today I'm so excited to be joined by the wonderful Tabatha Thorell. She's going to pull back the curtain on her business and share how she is working her business within the areas of the I Move method to get good at business and back into the heart of why she got into it in the first place. So Tabatha is a wife and mom to five incredible girls, speaker, best-selling author, life and business coach, podcaster, and real estate investor. Her journey started in fitness coaching 16 years ago, and alongside her high school sweetheart, she's been navigating the real estate world for 2 decades. She's passionate about helping people achieve their dreams and live life on their terms. With energy and persistence, she guides individuals to their aspirations. And as a best-selling co-author, dynamic speaker, and podcaster, she shares insights and inspires others to reach their full potential. So, Tabatha, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to dive in with you and explore how you are running your business.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Taylor. I'm excited. Like this, I love these kind of questions and I love to just give the experience and help your audience.
Beautiful. So let's start with the background, right? What inspired you to transition from fitness coaching to real estate investing, and how has that shaped the journey of your coaching programs?
So I got into fitness because I loved it. Like I actually have a background in like pre-counseling. I have a bachelor's degree in marriage and family, and I always wanted to help people build better relationships, build better families. I knew that in our world, and this was even 20 years ago, that, strong marriages and strong families could withstand a lot. Right. I didn't have any business background, no marketing. I really didn't know anything, AKA business. I thought a business degree was like something you got if you wanted to be a banker or a CEO of a, corporate company. I knew I loved to help people. And so I thought, okay, I'll be a counselor. And the road to that was just not exactly what I thought after college. And so I fell in love with fitness. I was always active growing up. So I kind of dove into that, like getting certifications and instructing people, coaching people. And that led to nutrition coaching and a direct selling opportunity. And that's when I kind of saw, like, pulled back the curtain of business. If you're somebody who has never been in the marketing business sales world and you get thrown into a direct marketing company, it's like, throwing you in the deep end. I desired to make a better life for my family. My husband was a farmer. We were already invested in real estate. We had been investing in real estate since we were in college because we knew that we wanted to build wealth. We didn't know all the ropes. We didn't have a mentor doing this. We just kind of dove into it. But we were doing this. We were buying houses and we had some babies, but I wanted to earn income. We needed the extra income so my husband didn't have to work so much. So I fell in love with direct selling because I wanted to earn money. Like I was like, this is a simple way to do that. And I didn't know anything. So let's do this. And then because I grew so fast, they threw me into leadership roles. So I went to like leadership conferences. They invested in us to build up these teams to sell their products. And I found personal development and I loved it. I was like, leadership, personal development, I'm home. Let's do this. Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, like all the things, just I loved it. And so I built that company up, not exactly where I wanted, because, I was like, yes, I want to be a multi-million. I finally saw that vision, and the road wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be on that. And so, but what it led me to was I built up a fitness company on my own with a coach because I knew I had to find somebody who'd done it. So
Mhm.
she helped me build the fitness company. But I soon realized that my heart was in personal development. I wanted to help people, you know, out of their own limiting beliefs and just push through because in fitness and nutrition, weight loss, whatever industry you want to call it, it's all about the inner self.
Mhm.
The outside was just, a mask. So that's what kind of transitioned me into personal development. Then I met a lot of people that were trying to build businesses and they were just struggling online. And so I was like, oh, I will help you develop a business and I'll do it. I did. And so I was just teaching people what I was learning at the time. And it just kind of progressed over probably about 5 years of like just teaching people what I was learning and getting in the trenches, learning marketing, learning sales, reading the books, going to the seminars. And in 2019, I had this vision to help families invest in real estate. And my husband is kind of the brains behind that. Like I'll go in and I can go in and I can do an assessment on a house. I can go put bids on it. I can do all that stuff. But he's just kind of the numbers guy. Like we would go and renovate homes and I'd make it look pretty. We'd get tenants in there. We'd property manage it. But I still felt insecure. Like, oh, I'm not the real estate person. Even though I was in it, I felt like an imposter. And so I had this idea for this coaching program, but to be honest, I was just like, I don't know. Let me just do what I'm normally doing. Let me just go over here where I'm comfort. I know your audience can relate. You go where you're comfortable, right? And so, but it just kept persisting. It just kept coming up. We would talk to people. We'd tell them what we did. We'd say we have, 8 properties now. We have this. We have this. And they say, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that." And I'd say, "Well, why haven't you?" And I'd hear all these excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I can really help you break through those excuses so that you can build this wealth for your family. And then we can teach these success principles to your kids so that the success can last through generations. And all this wealth and this income that you're building as an entrepreneur and a business owner isn't just wasted. And so the end of last year, I told my husband, I said, we're doing this. Like, I don't care, like, if you're on board or not, like, we're doing this. I'll educate myself enough for all the lingo and all the stuff if I feel like an imposter. And so that's what we did. Like, we just decided at the beginning of this year, like, we were going to develop this program, reaching out to people. And so this month was kind of our first, like, soft launch of forming a group of like helping these people come together and buy their first income property is really the first step. And so it was definitely a progression. It didn't just go from fitness to real estate. It was our 2 decades of knowledge just
Right.
really needs to be given. So,
Yeah, I love that. And I want to point out too, because I think so many of our audience find themselves in a situation where it's like you're running a business and you're making money in your business and you're doing it day to day, but you still don't see yourself as a business owner, like that
right.
identity, that adoption. And so I love that you said you're like, oh yeah, like I'm not a real estate investor or I'm not in the real estate world, but you've been doing it since college,
Yep.
right? It's like sometimes we have to really adopt that identity to be able
Yes.
to move forward. But I
Yes.
also love that you said it just kept on coming up because part of the I move method, the I in I move stands for intuition, right? And so when something keeps on coming up and you kind of feel called to it and it keeps on, that little nudge in the back of your mind, oftentimes that's intuition. So I would love to learn more about that side of your story,
Yep.
as well as like how you leverage intuition to really navigate what you do for your clients.
Yeah. So it kept, I told you it kept coming up. And I even look back to 10 years ago when we were, I told my husband, like, we either need to sell all these houses because I'm sick of all this stuff, or we need to change things, and like we have those moments and stuff. And I'll go through more of that when we talk about the operational side of stuff. But we didn't know what we didn't know.
Mhm.
And so we didn't have like the mentors. We didn't seek out coaching in that because I couldn't really find, I searched for them. I just couldn't find that matchup. I saw a lot of people that were doing real estate as a business, like doing lots of flips or wholesaling. And we were doing some flips. We did some renovations and stuff. But like my husband loved what he was doing. I loved what I was doing. We just wanted this as something that could really kind of match our income and then build our wealth so that we, AKA, retire. We could do that earlier and we didn't have to rely on anybody. And there, I just couldn't find that. I'm not saying they weren't out there, but I personally couldn't find them. And so it kept coming up because I just couldn't find that path. It was like, and was this just a good marketing tactic or did they actually get this? And we had kids, we have 5 kids. And so I wanted the family aspect. I wanted it to unify our family. I didn't want it to be one more job that my husband had or that I had. And so as we're doing this in the real estate world, we played it AKA safe for too long. And so I was like, when we do this in 2019, when this came to me and my husband. We were on the same page, but then life got busy and distraction. And then I went to my comfort zone because, in 2020, what happened? It was like, oh, should we start this now? I'm not sure. And the housing market went bananas during really until about 6 months ago, and so it was like, is this the right time? And I knew that it wasn't, but I knew that I needed to be. So I think when we have those moments of like, I know I like need to be doing this, I also knew that the timing wasn't right. Like our mindsets weren't there. In 2019, we had 3 kids. By 2022, we had 5 kids. So I knew that there was something else in between those that I needed to develop. And I did that. And I just trusted it. I just took one more step toward, some people say goal vision, like I'm pulled by the Holy Spirit. So I'm like, where are you leading me? Okay, I'm supposed to have these babies. But in that time, I was crafting. I was crafting my speaking abilities. I was crafting my coaching abilities so that when we launched this, it wasn't going to be like every other real estate program that's out there, and that it was going to be different and actually impact the families. And I knew that deep in my heart because everything I've ever done has been family oriented. Whenever I even did fitness, it was always to help that woman feel confident about herself so she could be the best mom and the best wife. When I did personal development, it was about helping that woman come into herself so she could be the best mom and the best wife. So everything I did was the core center was to help build that family up. So even as we do real estate, it's to build the family unity, not tear it apart.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I'm hearing as a takeaway for our audience in that is like trusting in the timing and taking it one
Yes.
step at a time so that the pieces fall into a place in the right timing, which is so incredible.
Yes. And we're entrepreneurs, so we want everything to happen now and fast. But that might crush you. If I would have built it in 2019, I think it would have crushed us. Just for the simple fact of everything that was happening in our personal life and in the world around us. And now I feel like people have a more understanding of like, you know what, the government's not going to take care of us. Maybe I need a better retirement plan. Maybe I need something to help my kids understand what wealth principles are in a way that's not boring, and like teaching them that no matter what happens in the time, because they're living through a recession. And so when they can say, I lived through that, what it takes to build it beyond, because then eventually we're going to go back to the mountaintop and then they're going to go through a lull. And so the things that they teach their kids now will get them through all of that.
I love that. So let's move to the M of iMove, which stands for marketing, right? You said you guys have kind of in your first like that
Yep.
month of the soft launch and things of that nature, but
Yeah.
what strategies have you found to be most effective to connect and engage with your ideal clients, with those families that are interested in building wealth through real estate and the generational wealth and teachings that you mentioned?
So right now, my biggest tactic or strategy, if you will, is really to get on other people's audiences. Like here I am on yours. My goal at the beginning of the year was to be on 100 stages, whether that was a podcast, whether that was a summit, really to just get my face and the movement out there using other people's audiences. And then, doing the lead capture, having the freebies, having this free group right now through the month of June to get some people in there and really see and hear what they want. Because I think as entrepreneurs, we can, have we see a problem, we're like, I have the solution. But sometimes we just need to listen to the audience. And so, as much as I think that I know what this audience needs, I need to hear it from them because we're kind of two parts, right? Like, we're helping people buy their first income property and making it simple. And then, but also how to keep that wealth that you build. So, it's tax strategy and family strategy, is what I call it, And so, it's like being really clear with the messaging on that has been a little tricky. So I need to hear what my audience has to say. And I do a lot of reach outs to people that are my ideal client. And I'm like, hey, you mentioned before that you've always wanted to, buy an income property. What is it that you need? Like, do you need more confidence, like how to get the money or where to find the property? And just hearing that. So then when we do go, mass market, if we go paid advertising, I nailing what they want, not just guessing, because that's a whole nother beast. So right now it's more of an organic reach. We, do different videos on YouTube and trying to reach our YouTube market and my own podcast. So like we have little excerpts of like, hey, if you want to do this, little commercials in there. So that's our strategy right now. And then like our email list, sending emails to our email list and just seeing again, like, is this something that people want? And is my message coming clear enough to where it is what they want? Because I know that they do want it because I've heard enough verbal, like personal connections, but am I making it clear? Because
Right.
that's on me.
And are you attracting the right audience, like the people that
Exactly.
you want to work with that are not just, hey, how do I get my first income property, but how do I get my income property and support it in a way that my family is supported in the
Exactly.
long term, right? That's the language there is totally different depending on the
Yep.
client. So I
Yes.
love that. And I think that's such an important note for our audience as well, is because that testing, that trialing is such a crucial component.
Yeah.
I have a story where I was working with a client and they were like, yeah, they came to me and they said, oh, I'm already a couple of weeks into creating this course and we're going to do all these things. And I said, that's awesome. Go out. The homework was go out and talk to 40 people that are your ideal client and figure out what they actually need so you can build the course to match that. Right. And they came
Yes.
back and she said, I don't want to build the course anymore. That's not my ideal client. And it was like, we could have spent all this time and wasted all this
Yep.
energy trying to build something and then market it when it's like, test your marketing, test your message, make sure it makes sense for you and for them. And
Yep.
then, and I love that. So I love that you're doing that. I think that's such a crucial part that so many entrepreneurs skip over. So I think just excellent. And then also thank you for sharing and being so real with us about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we're at. We're in the testing. And it's hard in the testing because you just want to get out there. You just want to help the people. You just want to do it. Right. But
Yep,
that's why we didn't do a course. Because I said we got to do a free group first to see what they even want. And
exactly.
would they even finish the course? Probably not. I want to actually help these people. I don't want to just make money. I want to help them. You have to ask yourself too, like what you're selling. And I'm not saying not like courses don't work because they do, but you have to look at the statistics first of all, and a lot of courses just sit in the inbox. Like it just is what it is. We're a busy society. But if you really want to help them, what is the best way to help them? And for me, it's almost hand holding in the beginning. It's like, okay, can we find this property? Okay, here's how you can get it with no money down. And then once they have that, okay, now we can teach this to your kids. I
Yeah,
can't do it in reverse because it's too much information. But if I take it one step, two steps, like I have 5 steps in our free group, and literally the videos are like 2 and 3 minutes. Like it's not very long because the steps aren't hard, but you need to break them down so that they understand it and will actually execute it.
beautiful. So speaking of understanding execution, breaking things down, our O and I move stands for operations, right? Which is the heart and soul of breaking things down, making sure it makes sense, making sure it's available to scale, et
Yep.
cetera. So can you share some insights into your operational frameworks that you've established for this business?
Yeah, so there's a little bit two parts. So you have the operations of just real estate investing, because that's a different ballgame than like my program. So I'll break it down really simply for the first part. So like when you're investing in real estate, and this is kind of what we teach in the group. So I'll give you guys a little like freebie here. But what's overwhelming for people is first the price of a house, right? I mean, we'll just blanket it like $200,000. That's a lot of money for most people. And so to break that down for people to understand, you don't have to have money up front. Well, what do you mean? What do I have to do? And so you just break that part of it down when you buy that first house. So you have the operations of buying the house, property manager, making sure that all your tenants are being taken care of, that the lawn's being mowed, that the bills are being paid, the insurance is being paid. And you have to have a structure of that, because if you look at it, even as I say this, I know some people's eyes glaze over and they think, well, that's why I can't have that. But here's the great part. My husband and I did it hard for 20 years. We did everything ourselves. I mean, we did everything. The only thing that we would even hire out was like a plumber. And even then, my husband sometimes would be the plumber. We didn't know, we didn't know. We didn't trust people. We tried to hire some people and it didn't work out. So we're just like, we'll just do it ourselves. And it run us ragged. Like it really did. But we were fearful. And then we didn't grow. Like we just kind of were stagnant, and we both were like, oh, we want to grow, but there's no more hours in the day. Like, what do we do? And so we break it down in the group of like the things that you need to buy your first property, to fill your first property, and then to have your second and your third and your fourth so that you can scale. And it really is wealth. It's not just a headache. And it really can be a tax advantage and not just something that you're like, oh, crud, now the roof went out and we have to pay $40,000 on a roof. You know, when you have multiple houses, you can really kind of maneuver the money and it works, you know, it works out better. So we teach people why buying 4, 5, or 10 properties is actually better than one. And it's actually more simple or easier, however you want to viewpoint it, because you have it all. It's like a unit. Okay. So, but when I talk about that, even here, it can be overwhelming. And so that's when we break it down like, well, this is what you need. Step 1, and then step 2, this is what you need. And we just streamline it. And it's like a well-oiled machine. And then it doesn't matter if you have 5 properties or 50, because it's like a well-oiled machine. Yes.
Your SOPs are in place, your operational.
Right. Yeah. Like it's all the same, whether you want to, you know, look at it like that, or you're just the leader, the CEO that's kind of making sure, manage it. And we talked about that with my 15-year-old daughter. And she goes, you mean I don't have to like take care of the house? And I'm like, well, that's what the property manager is for. I said, do you think that you could just talk to the property manager like once a month? And she goes, well, yeah. I said, okay. But in her head, she had to do all these things because in her defense, that's what we did for so long. And I said, no, we finally woke up and realized and got all these systems in place. And then she gets to benefit from that. And so that was the beautiful part. And then on the business side, when I look at a group, I think, okay, I love group coaching because it's so much more scalable. Because for my one-on-one time, it's not there. It's obsolete. So what can I do in a group setting that's as valuable as a one-on-one? And how can I scale that? I never start something that I can't see as scalable. And then I look at the things that aren't scalable in the beginning to get, you know, things rolling, like hand holding and walking people through step by step on a one-on-one. But how could I mimic that? Well, I can mimic that because I can train coaches. So I'm always looking at the step ahead. If I do this for them now, I don't want to just say, oh, well, that was just for the first 5. You know, I want to say, okay, well, now I just need to teach a coach how to do that same thing. And then we can do small group settings, and that can make them feel loved, connected, heard, seen in that group. And then how can we scale that group? Okay, then we add another coach. And then that group seen, heard, because I've been in coaching programs where I feel like a number. I've paid $10,000 for a coaching program where I'm like obsolete. And I don't want my clients to feel like that. Even if I'm not the one coaching, like I will coach my coaches and I will give them the skill set they need. And if something happens, they will come to me. And I have to look at that in every facet of the business. And so I'm just always looking at like, if we had a program that was worth $100,000, what could I give them? Or if it was, you know, $100 a month, what could I give them? How can I make this scalable? Because I'm only one woman and I am a mom to 5 girls and they are the most important people to me. But when you pay, not even pay, when you're just in our group, when you give me your time, that's valuable to me. So I want to be valuable to you. And it just depends on the facet that you come into our business. But I want to make sure that you're seen, heard, and you're satisfied, because there's too many scammers out there. There's too many just really good marketers that pull people into coaching programs. And I don't want that. Again, I could just sell you a course then. I could be like, here's your course, everything you want in it. And I could feel good about it because they would have all the information. But if you're not taking action and you're not moving, then what's the point? But I have to learn how to scale it even beforehand, because I have to believe that it's going to get that big, or it's never going to get that big.
Well, one thing that I love from your story here that I think a lot of our audience can definitely resonate with is when you said we did 20 years the hard way because we didn't trust people. We weren't willing to outsource things like that, because so many entrepreneurs, I see this all the time where it's like, okay, I've got this program and I'm building my website. And it's like, yeah, but you're not a website designer. So you're spending all your time and effort and energy that could be spent actually on the next components of the business, that next step ahead, as you said, also in scaling. And instead it's focusing on doing and learning something that you're doing it the hard way instead of delegating. And so I think that's such an important takeaway. And I love this too, because this is why we host this podcast, right? This is why we do this, is because we
Yep.
want to hear from different business owners in different industries and what's working for them, because it's so easy to go, oh, I can apply that for my business. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's move to the V of velocity, right? So what strategies and tactics have you implemented to really accelerate the growth of your business?
Kind of this, what I told you before, it's like really getting on other people's audiences, like getting in front of other people and connections and connecting. I mean, I know that we are, there's Facebook ads and Google ads and, all of those things to scale. And I think there's the right time. I've done organic marketing again the hard way, and just, I get the frustration of like, is this even matter? But when you can build connections and you can get in front of other people's audiences and you can truly give value, just to give value, like on this podcast, if you guys check out my website, great. If you're like all of a sudden you just want to invest in real estate and you do it on your own, awesome, like fantastic, make the moves, do the things. If you go home and you and your family do a vision board together and you unite as one, that is awesome. Like whatever that is for you. So going into other people's audiences and really wanting to serve, first of all, it gives your voice to so many other people that you wouldn't normally do, but it also gives you confidence, and like it crushes that imposter syndrome. What got me into saying, you know what, I am a badass real estate investor and like I can do this, I can coach, was I got on other people's podcasts and I started sharing our story. And I was like, we have been doing this for 20 years. Oh my gosh, like I did do that. Oh, I can do this. And then now I'm making deals and doing stuff that even before I wouldn't have done. And so it's going to get you out of that comfort zone. And then you made a good point where we do all the things, like we're the web designer, we're the sales, we're the marketing. And a lot of times we do have a skill set in that. My husband's an amazing carpenter. He was amazing at construction. That was the pigeonhole, because he was also really good at finding deals. But
Mhm.
I'm good at negotiating really good deals. And so I didn't realize that until just like this past 6 months. I knew I was a good negotiator because I'm a good communicator, but I didn't think about that necessarily in the real estate. I was like, oh, I'll let him do it. Well, that's not his skill set. And
Mm.
he was in his comfort zone. So I think even as we grow, it's like we always gravitate towards a little bit of that comfort zone, or what looks like progress, but it's not really moving the needle. And so it's like looking at it and saying, you know what? I'm really good at sales, but I am the CEO. So I have to look at it and I got to hire someone and let them do the sales, let them do the thing, and relinquishing that control. And it's hard, especially in the beginning when you don't have a lot of influx of cash. You're just really like, oh, I don't know. I just got to I don't know if I could pay this person. I can't do this. And you got to be creative with money and funding and look at it like a business. I see so many people and they want it, but I'm like, do you know that to buy a bricks and mortar business, I think the average is anywhere from 50,000 to 250,000 just for the building? And you won't pay $5,000 for a coach that's going to help you roadmap to success. It's just changing that mindset a little bit of like how you can grow. And like I said, always looking 2 steps ahead. What good is your business if you have all this influx of clients if you don't even know how you can serve them?
Right. Absolutely. Ah, I love that. So good. All right. So taking things home in the I move method, the E stands for execution.
Yeah.
So I think you've already kind of touched on this, but what are you doing moving forward? What's the big project initiative that you are focusing on executing?
So it's our Keep Legacy Wealth. That is our big thing right now. Everything that's led up to this year, probably about February is when I really decided. Like I said, I was coaching other programs before. So if your audience members, if they have a couple irons in the fire, sometimes it's hard to let one of those go. But I had to say, no, I can't do that. I got to move forward in this direction. Let's go, let's move. And so, being on podcasts, having my own podcast, it all leads back. All roads lead back to the legacy wealth builders. Like, how can we help serve them, even on podcasts that we're on, even if the topic is motherhood? I'm like, okay, awesome, moms. Like, what legacy do you want to leave? So all roads lead back to that. And it's hard for me because I like a lot of things. And
Mhm.
I'm like, stay focused. This, like you said with the intuition, I know this is where I'm led to go. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. I have to have a lot of conversations that are hard and awkward and weird, and I don't always love them. And I have to look at myself and say, am I getting the sales? Am I getting the marketing? What am I doing to move the needle? And it's uncomfortable because I want to live in my comfort zone. So it's like I do things I enjoy. I love going on podcasts and giving value, but I also need to look at, are we getting sales? Are we getting people in the group, even the free group? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't care if your group is free, it's still hard to get people in there. It's hard either way. And so the strategies, have we given them too long, or do we need to give them a little bit longer? And executing what needs to be done right now and what can be done a little bit later. And again, looking at 3 months ahead, it's all part of the process. And it can be frustrating, but again, I have to trust that, like, this is where I'm meant to go. This is what even the little crumb of one person telling me, oh my gosh, I love that idea. Let's go. Okay, that's a breadcrumb. Like, I got to keep going and trust it. And don't listen to the naysayers and the negative voices, because they're going to be loud. Just take that one little crumb of like, okay, I'm in the right direction. Let's go.
Yes. Mic drop. So where can our audience, and you've already said it, all roads lead to this, right? Where can our audience learn more about you?
So keeplegacywealth.com is the website, and you can go join the free group, or we have a free resource for the 5 steps that we take when we're buying an income property. So it's like, if that's what your goal is, go on there and I follow the steps, and boom, you could have first income property. But I encourage people to join the group, because right now for the month of June, it's free. It's my birthday month. So I'm like, let's get them in. Let's do this. We do weekly calls where, I tell you different strategies of creative finance or looking for that first property. You meet other people in the group, other entrepreneurs, get connections. Don't be silent. Don't hide. It's like, go into these groups, with like Facebook group, it's like, connect with people. You don't know where that's going to lead. Do these trainings, like, share, comment, even if it's 20 minutes long and you just want to fast forward a little bit, or listen to it on 10 speed. Listen to my voice on 10 speed. It'll go crazy. But it's like, don't be afraid of that. I think we're such a consumable culture. It's like, I always say, don't be a taker, be a giver. So it's like, look at these. If you know somebody that wants to buy their first income property or build wealth, or something in the real estate, and they're just scared of it, like, bring them in. Like, all it is clarity, and just, like I said, hand holding, walking them through that.
Beautiful. Well, Tabatha, thank you so much. So many gold nuggets, so much knowledge today. I really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your gold nuggets, pulling back the curtain on your business as it pertains to the area of the I move method. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Taylor.
So for those of you that are watching, make sure you stay tuned. We will have more Get Good at Business highlights coming up in the future. But in the meantime, keep on going, and remember that you can get good at business.